Hello, beautiful attendees of the Women of Influence Summit 2021. I am your host, Kimberly Lawson of Lawson Learning Academy. I'm so glad that you are watching these interviews. I hope you are keeping that pen and paper ready because each interview is full of nuggets, full of information that is definitely beneficial to anyone who is thinking about business, in business, just left business. The information is just good. So I have with me right now Twanita Dozier. Hi, Twanita.
Hi, Kimberly. Thank you for having me so much, and hello to all of the viewers out there.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this summit. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you.
So tell all of the attendees a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I am the CEO of a multimedia platform called Boss Up Magazine. It is also a community. It focuses on Black emerging entrepreneurs. And within that platform, I offer a digital magazine, a print magazine, a TV show, a mobile app, and social networking events.
And a partridge in a pear tree, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, that is practically everything else. So growing up, did you know you wanted to be in media?
Growing up, I want to say I kind of knew I wanted to be in media. Initially, I wanted to be a teacher, and I actually did pursue that. I did go to school for elementary and special education. But around that time when I was in school, I did kind of dabble in media and communications. I actually did a summer program workshop at my university. It was with the Illinois Broadcasting Association. It was a very exclusive program where only like 12 people around the world, well, 12 students around the world could attend. And it was something that really spoke to me, saying, okay, at some point, even though you're pursuing education, you do have a knack or a passion for media.
Okay, so when did you make the transition into media?
Well, I made the transition into media, I want to say back in 2017. I had created the platform Boss Up Magazine. Initially, I was actually doing a different business where I was making cups and t shirts and tote bags with uplifting and motivating messages for women. And what I learned was at the time, and this is before social media and entrepreneurship started shifting and getting bigger, I noticed that for Black owned businesses, there was not a lot of resources for us to kind of get ourselves out there in front of people. And so I decided I'm going to be the change I want to see. And I created the platform Boston Magazine.
All right, so I love that. Rather than waiting on a seat at another table, you built your own table. So that is definitely that's power in itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what was that initially like? Taking that leap and creating this multimedia platform. What was it like starting out?
I feel like starting out, it was a little difficult as far as trying to feel my way into what exactly I wanted to do. I did initially start as a digital magazine, and as time progressed, I started um, adding different entities to the platform. So it was a little bit difficult with trying to navigate what I wanted to do exactly and how I wanted things to go. But it actually was kind of natural because I liked talking to people, I liked writing. I did take a journalism class in high school. I was part of like the school newspaper. So those kind of things kind of, combined and twirled into one another and made that transition a little bit smoother to where it was a little bit more natural on that aspect. But as far as getting the logistics together and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, that was a little bit difficult. It didn't take me long to do, but of course, since it was something new, I had to figure it out. And that transition ended up being smooth. After everything was together, it ended up being smooth for me.
So there are so many, magazines and digital magazines and things out there. And one thing that I notice, with any business, the magazine will be here today and gone tomorrow. It's not people are not having that longevity. What has helped you keep your platform, thriving and relevant?
I would say my audience. My audience is emerging entrepreneurs of color. And so, as of now, from what I've seen and as from thinking back to 2017 to now, Black owned businesses are booming. They're exploding. And so my audience is keeping it thriving. The content that I have keeps it thriving. The different entities to the platform keeps it thriving. And so that's what I would say keeps it thriving. It's all of those things. And on top of the fact that for my platform, I do not erase anyone's features. So if someone is starting fresh and kind of want to go back and kind of use their feature to kind of get back out there, that's available. Everyone is not online at the same time. You have people who learn about things a month from now, 2 months from now. And so I feel that it makes more sense to leave it as a permanent placement for those entrepreneurs, because it's important for people to know about them, whether they just learned about them yesterday, 2 weeks ago, a month from now, though that's really important. And that way they can always go back and say, hey, I did this. I was on a platform that represented me.
And leaving those things up, it also gives your website hits.
Yes. Yes, it does. It does help with the website hits. And it also helps with building a community. It really does. It helps build a community because you have people that may watch an interview today, and then a month later, I may have an event. And because they are a subscriber or they're familiar with my platform, they would go back. So, yes.
So, what's been the biggest lesson that you've learned on this journey of starting this magazine? What's the biggest lesson?
The biggest lesson I learned is that when people are in a certain field, you want to be thoughtful of what's going on in the trends. And for me, I've learned that my field, is media, it's news, but I'm a little bit different in what I do. So for me, I can't really do what everyone else is doing, and that's okay. In some fields, you do kind of have to do what other people are doing to kind of keep yourself, with the trends and what's going on. But for what I do, I've learned that I don't have to follow that too much because I created something from scratch, and I'm continuing to build that platform. And so for me, that has definitely been something that has kept me on the straight path with my platform.
All right. So, I love that. So, you started the magazine, and then which media platform came next? Did you immediately go from, okay, now I have this magazine, I think I want to have, a TV channel or a podcast? What came next, and how did you make that decision?
So what I did was I started off with digital. Then I tried the print. And with the print, I learned that there are a lot of other things that I would like to offer with the print. So I decided to kind of take that back to kind of revamp it. And I will have something coming very soon with print again. But I did go from digital and then I added on to print. And the reason I'm stressing adding is because as I evolved my platform, I never really got rid of anything prior. So I started with digital. I added print, then I added a podcast, then I added a TV show, then I added social networking events, and then I added a mobile app.
Wow. So, what are you adding next?
Well, actually, next I will be adding an award ceremony. And so, what that will allow is number one, to keep my platform exclusive, and to keep it, more honorable. I feel like sometimes when certain platforms are created or some people do certain things, it loses its prestige. And for my platform and community, it is prestigious. You do not have a lot of platforms and resources for emerging entrepreneurs that offers all of those different entities. You just don't. It's either going to be digital or it's either going to be print or whatever. It's not going to be print, digital, podcast, mobile app, social networking, events, and a TV show. I just have not seen that. And that's okay. So for me, I want to continue to keep my platform evolving to better serve my audience and to also keep it prestigious. So I definitely will be adding an award ceremony to do that, to actually take those entrepreneurs to the next level and further celebrate and highlight those entrepreneurs. Everyone loves awards. And I feel that, we need to keep our focus on emerging entrepreneurs. Emerging entrepreneurs are the ones who are paving the way for things of change, who are paving the way for other Black owned business owners to come out and say, hey, I have this business too.
I like that. And and emerging entrepreneurs is something that's always there. And you see a big, trend following at times. And so I think it speaks to, your marketing plan, your business plan of sticking with the strategy that you already had in place, because you see so many. I know that I do. I see a lot of magazines that get started and they're covering, the same celebrity gossip that we are already reading about in the blogs. They're on the YouTube channels. It's overly saturated, but when you're talking about emerging entrepreneurs, there's always a fresh batch of emerging entrepreneurs who are offering services that are solutions to everyday problems that people have. And so giving them a platform to have a voice, to talk about what they're doing and their accomplishments, I think that that's great.
Thank you. And I absolutely agree with you. I mean, let's be honest, celebrity gossip is just entertainment. It's interesting, especially if it's someone you admire or you follow closely. But I think with my platform, I think that it definitely is important to have, because you have business owners who are in certain levels of their business and their journey. And so I may have an entrepreneur who's ready for a digital feature, but they're not ready for a podcast. I may have someone that's ready for a podcast, but they're not ready to be a speaker at a social networking event. So those different entities I created is also to better serve those entrepreneurs, and, to meet them where they are and to also give them other options once they get past that level.
Right. And what you're saying is true, because I have a podcast, and before that I was with internet radio. And one of the things that appealed a lot of people to come on my show was the fact that it was audio only. It was not video. And that was intimidating to some people. Speaking at live events is intimidating to some people, and they're not comfortable with doing that. But, offering something to them, because you have so many things, they can have, the written feature. And if they're comfortable with that, do a podcast interview if they're comfortable with that. So you offer, so many different platforms, so many different outlets of putting your story out there and letting it be known, that I think that definitely is what is helping to keep Boss Up Mag, relevant years later, where some others have fallen to the wayside.
Yes, and it's definitely a stepping stone. Everyone has to start somewhere, and depending on what you're comfortable with, Bossa Mag offers those different outlets for you.
Right. So, someone who is watching this video right now that has been thinking about starting a magazine, whether digital or print, what is your advice to them?
My advice would be to be confident in what you're doing and to know the audience that you want to serve. Those are the two main things that's going to take you far. It's going to take you far, because if you don't have confidence, your platform is not going to last long, because you're always going to doubt yourself and second guess yourself. So confidence is number one. Number two, you want to know the audience, because if you don't know your audience, how do you know who you're going to target, who you're going to feature, what you're going to have on your platform? So I would say definitely those two things. And of course, the third thing I would say is definitely have a strategy. Figure out how often you want to have the features released. What kind of questions you want to ask, what kind of look you want to have on your website. How do you want people to apply to be featured? You want to have all those things in a row. But definitely start, you definitely want to have confidence for sure. And you definitely want to know your audience, because I will say, when I first started my platform, I had a lot of people tell me that they felt that my platform was not valuable, because I wasn't focusing on celebrity gossip. I wasn't focusing on this and that. I wasn't, out and about, following up behind red carpet and events and concerts and things like that. But as long as, you're confident in what you're doing, those things are not going to matter to you.
And that's great advice. That's great advice. As a business coach, I see that with clients, they're not confident in the decisions that they're making. And so they begin to then waver in a direction that is against their avatar, their ideal client. So that's definitely some great advice. Now, you have your own TV, is it TV channel?
Yes, so I currently have a TV channel on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick that it's actually going to start transitioning to a TV network, and that's coming very soon. But I do have that as well because, again, I want to keep my platform evolving and I want to keep that platform, prestigious, and I still want to keep it to where, it can serve my audience depending on where they are in their business.
How did you get started with a TV channel? Now, that is not something everybody has. That's one of those, that's one of those exclusive things. How did you get started in having your own channel?
You know what? That actually was a situation where I turned lemons into lemonade. That was a situation that went bad. I was supposed to partner with another organization or company to initially get my TV show out there. And I ended up learning some things that did not go well with me, that did not sit well with me. And I decided to take matters upon my own self. And I ended up figuring out how to do it myself. Now, I want to say I am a person that's very self sufficient. So I'm the type of person, if I want to know something, I'm going to figure it out. And then if I cannot figure it out, then I would hire somebody to do it. But I like to be self sufficient because once I start bringing people on board to help me, I want to be able to teach that person what I need them to do and what I'm looking for in regards to their work. And so I ended up learning how to create my own TV channel with Roku and Amazon Fire Stick, and everything took off from there. And I want to say that situation was a blessing in disguise because initially, how I was going to have it set up, I wasn't able to meet my clients where they were. All of my clients had to come to me, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start having clients who are in different states, neighboring states, who can't get to you, and you're able to travel, that worked a lot in my favor because I was able to travel to that person to capture their story and still be able to uphold my TV show. And so, even though it was lemon turned into lemonade, I want to say it still was a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to do way more. It taught me, what I wanted to do, how to do it, and how to make it happen.
And that definitely goes into one of the themes of this summit. Women are powerful, and you are a true testament of that because, with each stumbling block, you just simply found a way to step over it and then step on to the next one to catapult yourself up a little bit higher in being an action taker, which you definitely have to be an action taker if you are going to be an entrepreneur. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, I should say that you have to be an action taker.
I totally agree with that. And I feel like when you are an action taker, you're serious. You're very serious about your passion and your craft, and you don't want things to go down the drain because I know when that situation happened to me, I got really, really concerned about my brand reputation. I never want my brand to be unreliable. I don't never want my brand to be looked at as half done. I didn't want to let down my supporters. I didn't want to let down my community. And I had a lot of people waiting and, looking forward to me having this show. And to me, I was like, I can't let that happen. I can't sit here and promote a TV show, saying it's going to be on this platform and that platform for months and months and months and months and months. And now I have these people, joining my email list and sending me emails and inquiring how to be interviewed. And then push come to shove, I don't have what I told them I was going to have. And so for me, that was a big deal. I really felt like that was going to damage my brand. And I just had to make it happen. I could not sit back and be defeated. I had to definitely make that happen because that was important to me and it was important to my community.
Absolutely. So, what type of people do you have on your TV show? What's the theme of it?
Well, the TV show is called The Boss Lounge. I'm actually gearing up for season 3, so I will start back recording. It's a little bit different. And so I kind of break down all the things for you. So digital features are more written features where I'm sending out, questions I would like for the person to answer. I would create a story. I do not do the Q&A post. I take all of their information and I put it together like a little puzzle and it tells a story. So that is digital. That's only online. Print is similar to that, but it's print. And then for the podcast, it's an audio interview. For the TV show, it's more of a face-to-face interview. And so now I'm, in that space with that person. And, we have that video where the person can see and hear, the interview. And so that's how that goes for the TV show. It still sticks to the same audience that my platform caters to. It still sticks to Black entrepreneurs. And I do not have a cap on who, what industries. If you're into consulting, you're into business coaching, you're into boutiques, you're into makeup, you're into hair, you're an author, it doesn't matter. As long as you are a Black emerging entrepreneur who is serious about your business and what you do, Boss Up Magazine welcomes you, especially on the Boss Lounge.
All right. And so, the last thing I want to talk about, you also have a mobile app, which is again not something that everyone has. What made you decide, like, okay, I think I want to have my own mobile app now?
Well, I decided to do the mobile app because I felt like I could offer so many other things that I couldn't offer online to a certain extent. I felt like it was a little bit more accessible. Everybody is on their phone. And so it allowed me to be more creative and innovative with my platform and still bring my audience and community together. And so in the mobile app, I wanted to capture some things with Boss Up Mag for them to easily access on their phone, and I still wanted to create something else that still catered to my audience. So in the app, again, I do have Boss Up Mag stuff, so I have access to digital and print. So my previous print issues are there. I do have interviews that I do that are specifically catered to the app. I do have a podcast community. So not only is it my podcast, there are other people who have their own podcasts who have their podcasts on the app. So not only are you getting information and content from Boss Up Mag, you're getting information and content from other Black-owned businesses and brands through a podcast. I do have entertainment on there. So if someone is into acting or skits or shows, that's on there as well. I also have a business directory and I have a venue directory. And that was a big thing I wanted on the app. I wanted a Black owned venue directory because when I was planning social networking events, I had a very hard time trying to find Black owned venues. I don't know why. I searched all the hashtags I could, and some would come up, but some of the information was outdated. The person wasn't in business anymore. They were not doing events. And so I really had a hard time trying to find Black owned venue event spaces, whether it was a space, whether it was a restaurant. I just had a really hard time. And so I figure, why not create something that, can provide that information for other people looking for it just like myself. So I created the Black venue directory as well. And then, of course, I have the Boss Lounge TV show on there as well. So if someone is on the app and they kind of want to go see what the Boss Lounge is all about, they're able to see season 1 and season 2.
Okay. All right. So, in creating this app and launching it, what was something that you did not expect to happen with creating the app? What was something unexpected in its development and launching?
I would honestly say the strategy. There is a totally different strategy you have to have when you have a mobile app. And I honestly was not prepared for that. I was not aware that that was something required. I think because in my mind, I kept thinking about Boss Up Mag, and I kept thinking about the strategy I used to use Boss Up Mag to bring my community together and bring an audience, and cater to the audience. And because my focus was so heavy on Boss Up Mag, I kind of lost sight of the strategy needed for the app itself. Because with the mobile app, you have to have a way to get your app out to people. And sometimes you have to get creative with that. You have to have exclusive content. So when I say exclusive content, Boss Up Mag content, as far as a snippet of an event, is going to be totally different from content I need to say, hey, check out my mobile app. I have a podcast, list or a community, or this, if you have a Black owned venue, join my business directory, my venue directory. And so that strategy is totally different, and it goes with their content as well. So I would say, for me, it would be the strategy.
And I can totally see that. For many years, I worked with people with their resumes, and I always told them, I was like, you don't have a one stop shop resume. You can't use, the exact same resume to apply for a job as a teacher as you would if you were applying to be, like a clerk, a receptionist. While your education is the same, you really have to hone in on what that skill set is for that particular thing. And then, so I can totally, as you explain it, see why you would need a different strategy for each platform, because each one will appeal to a different person. It's still within the same community. They still all maybe are in the same neighborhood, but people who will download an app will be different than people who would pick up a magazine. Like my mom would pick up a magazine while she's in line at the grocery store, but she's not necessarily going to think, oh, let me download this app to read about a particular person.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely right.
All right, so before we close this out, Twanita, do you have any final remarks, any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the attendees of the Women of Influence Summit 2021?
I would just like to say again, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all of the viewers tuning in and getting these gems and information. And hopefully, you guys can connect with me and the other women in the summit. I definitely want to encourage emerging entrepreneurs to keep pushing through. I know sometimes it can be hard. I know for me, I'm working a 9 to 5 and running a whole platform, but you have to keep pushing through. If it's something you're passionate about, keep pushing through, because you will see the success from all of your hard work. So keep on going, no matter if you get 1 like, 2 likes today. Keep on posting because someone is watching.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So you heard it, keep pushing. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It's not
Mhm.
for anyone who is not looking to be an action taker or work hard, because it is hard work, but it is very rewarding. So Twanita, I would just want to say thank you again for being a part of the Women of Influence Summit 2021. To all of you viewers, I know you have a page full of notes. Twanita gave you some very valuable advice for anyone, whether you are looking to be in media or you are simply starting your own business or thinking about it. So continue watching all of the interviews. And again, I am Kimberly Lawson of Lawson Learning Academy, your host of the Women of Influence Summit 2021. Continue watching and stay tuned for more interviews.